Hello merry gamers and welcome to Kingdom Come Deliverance, a merry review. Let's start with the bad stuff and just get it out of the way. First of all, the glitches. Now, I've not had anything sort of game breaking in my 20 odd hours in this game, though I've got a ways to go yet, and there have been some annoying ones. There was a point where I had to sneak into someone's house and then couldn't get back through the door to leave no matter what I tried, which forced me to reload the game. And graphical glitches are rife, with clothes and character models clipping through one another. That's about as far as it goes. It's nothing compared to a release from someone like, say, Bethesda, which is normally loaded with bugs, and whilst they can be immersion breaking, they don't really ruin the game. The game also isn't that well optimised. Frame rates are acceptable, and with my computer, which is sort of standard mid-range, it managed to stay between 50 and 60 FPS with most settings on high at 1080. However, loading times are atrocious, which is mostly forgiven by the fact that the world as a whole is pretty much loading screen free. But it does become a major issue that hampers a feature that I love. Talking to an NPC happens in real time and the game world continues to progress as you natter away. And you can be pulled from these talking cutscenes, say a guard catches you following a crime, or a sword strikes at your back. These loading times are a big issue in the latter case, as you sit there and wait to engage the bugger who dared disturb your haggling. But the bad seems to all but end there. The game is stunning, both in visuals and audio design. Every rock, every fallen tree and bit of foliage seems meticulously placed by hand with love and care. Walking through a forest, I had to check if a bird I could hear was outside my window, because I genuinely couldn't tell it's that well done. To give you an idea, at one point I had a mission that involved following an NPC halfway across the map, but I failed the follow me bit at the start because a guard pulled me from the starting conversation, wanted to search me for stolen goods, which is kind of my own fault, I got caught pickpocketing earlier in the day. So the NPC just left without me, which meant that the cutscene that was meant to trigger, which would teleport us there, didn't. So, I walked. Now, I'm someone who hates long travel time in games. Like, seriously, more than about 3 minutes and I start to go mad. But this time I didn't care, because just being in the world of Kingdom Come Deliverance actually made it worth it. The caves are dark and echoey, and nighttime is really, really dark. Like, you need a torch in this game. The towns, they seem alive and busy as NPCs go about their days, and the NPCs do genuinely feel alive, and as though they have a place in the world. They're not just sporadically placed to give the impression of a town centre. You see them go off about their errands, they place their armour and their clothing in chests before they go to sleep. They get drunk in the taverns in the evenings, and they act differently towards you depending on their opinion of you. The story is well written too. There is no "you are the chosen one" sort of trope. You're just a soldier, working his way, albeit fairly quickly, up the social and military ladder. There are moments of genuine sadness, as well as moments of great fun and humour. One that comes quite strongly to mind reminded me of that fantastic part of The Witcher 3 where you get drunk with Lambert and Eskel. I couldn't help but just sit and giggle the entire time, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say that priests make great drinking buddies. The quests are well thought out, with no go to A, then go to B, then go to C sort of hand-holding. You need to find a bandit camp? It's 12 acres of forest. Ask around, look for clues. You need to scout an encampment prior to an attack? Circle the whole thing, check every rock, every stone, or suffer the consequences later. And the game is a true RPG too. Leveling up only happens when it feels like it should, and your character becomes your own based on the perks you choose, because you're not going to have every perk, as some perks just can't be combined because they counter each other, and some might not apply to your playstyle. But it's also not entirely by choice because you can't have all the perks. Each skill tree brings its own selection of perks, but you only get so many points in each tree, and it's always less points than the number of perks to choose from. And there are a lot of skill trees. Each weapon type, each stat, and each secondary such as speech and reading, they have their own perk trees and level bars. And these perks, they all interconnect. There are perks in the hunting tree, for example, that benefit your combat in the wilds, which forces you to play other aspects of the game. There are other aspects that add to the game too. Reading is impossible until you learn to do it, and books are just a garbled mess, rendering skill books and the like completely useless. Little additions such as certain helmets that restrict your field of view, and bows that cause injury unless you wear vambraces, add to the whole experience that makes this game so immersive. The main pull of this game, however, is of course the combat. It is hard. Really hard. But not in a sort of Dark Souls, get good scrub kind of way. You just have to think completely differently in this game. Go into combat swinging wildly like you would in Skyrim, and your opponent's just gonna parry your blow, and then proceed to stab you in the face, spleen, and most likely the bollocks just to rub it in. You have to be tactical, and as a result, at first combat feels slow and you're probably not going to like it, but as time goes on you begin to master the art of parrying, dodging, managing the ground between you and your foe. You perfect feinting attacks to lead your opponent one way and to create openings, to string together impressive combos, and you begin to understand why it is the way it is. You come to appreciate the brilliance that is the KCD combat system, and you can't help but wonder why nobody else has done this before, as swords clash with swords, breaking swings, and as splinters go flying from shields as they block the hit, and swords lunge forward on the backstep. It's some of the best combat I have ever experienced in a game. Overall, Kingdom Come Deliverance is what you'd get if you took For Honor, smashed it together with the Elder Scrolls series, and then just pushed the whole lot through a fantasy filter. What Warhorse Studios have made is a damn good contender for Game of the Year. For a new studio that's only 80 strong and with an £8 million budget, and for perspective, Skyrim cost about 80 million, I can forgive the occasional bugs and I can forgive the optimization and just put it down to inexperience. Because these things don't really do anything to detract from the game, especially when you consider what it is they've created. It is worth every penny of its AAA price tag, much more so than many of the games that we've seen from the big name developers over recent years. Warhorse Studios are definitely one to watch, and I'm willing to say they could well be the next CD Projekt Red. I'm already excited to see what they do next. The game is a solid 8.5 out of 10 for me. The glitches and the other little niggles are really the only thing stopping it being a solid 9, and once all of those little issues are fixed, it will be a solid 9 out of 10 in my opinion. It is close to getting that 10 out of 10, but honestly I've only ever given 2 games that golden 10. And this game, it's close, but it's just not quite there yet. If you enjoy RPGs, any sort of tactical play style, just gaming in general, go out and buy this game. If the bugs and the glitches are going to cause you problems and you don't want to go through the hassle of maybe restarting your game a couple of times and things like that, give it a couple of months, let that get patched, and then just go and buy it anyway. You owe it to yourself. Thanks for watching. Spartan out.